Welcome, welcome, welcome to Digital Dialogues. I'm your host, Steve Marion, and today I have a great guest with me in the form of Justin Pollard. Justin, thank you so much for joining today. And we just like to spend a little time learning more about you, your journey in the facilities management space. And let's start with something basic. Where are you from?
All right. It's great to be on, Stephen. I've caught the first few episodes of the podcast, and I'm a fan. I'm very happy to be on here today. I'm from Northern California. It's where I grew up. Spent my formative years, elementary, high school, all that good stuff. I left for the Navy for a while, and it called me back. And so I wound up moving back to Northern California after the Navy. And we've settled in well here. I've been here now for 17 years since getting out, and really happy in this space.
Fantastic. Very interesting. Being in the Navy, and let me first thank you for your service. Greatly appreciate that. With that background in the U.S. Navy before transitioning to healthcare, how did your experience in the Navy kind of shape your approach to problem solving and leadership in a healthcare setting?
It's a good question, and thank you for the support. It was huge, right? I was fortunate to be part of the nuclear Navy. I was a nuclear mechanical operator on board a submarine, and had the opportunity to learn a lot. I would say I've heard that healthcare is the second most regulated industry outside of nuclear power. So, coming to healthcare and really some of my initial focus in the leadership space was in kind of the regulatory compliance and documentation and that sort. And a lot of that I had picked up in the Navy doing, whether it was reactor plant maintenance work or material history work, really learning the why behind why do we document this? Why do we need to do things a certain way? That very rigid procedures and understanding the casualty procedures and understanding that heightened environment all gave me a good background to healthcare. But I would say one of the biggest things from the Navy and the military in general is you learn a lot about culture. It's a tough environment, whether you're underway on a sub or overseas in the desert somewhere or whatever you happen to be doing. Military is a tough environment to be in a lot of times, and you get through it. You talk to vets, and what do you remember most fondly? That's the guys that I served with or the people that I served with. It's certainly not the very early reactor startups to take off to leave port that day or whatever it happened to be. It's the people, and you learn how to take care of each other in difficult environments. You learn how to give each other a good ribbing when it's necessary, or be that shoulder for somebody who needs it, kind of thing. And really, it's a brotherhood and sisterhood, and it's a family over there. And so that kind of mentality I like to take into healthcare and into facilities management because it's necessary, right? We have similar environments where it's high need, high stress. We're taking care of patients, the vulnerable population. We need to make sure that we get things right, and there's a lot of pressure on us to do it. And so we lean on each other. We lean on that culture. We fall back on that. I've been part of shops and seen shops where that's not the case. And it's a lot harder to work and to get the mission done in those situations versus where you have a very strong culture. Everybody's in it together. Somebody stumbles, another person's picking them up, that kind of team mindset. We're all in this together. I learned that first in the Navy, and it keeps showing up later in my career and being one of those really extremely important things that we execute on. I owe a lot of my current career to my time in the Navy.
Oh, that's fantastic. Justin, as the Senior Director of Facilities for an organization like Sutter Health, you've spoken about ensuring that each Sutter Health facilities team member ends their day feeling supported and valued. Can you share any moments that helped you shape this mission for your team?
I can give a couple examples. One was one that I had where to kind of reinforce some of those things that I learned in the Navy, and then some that I worked with my team. I remember early on in my career as somewhat of a junior engineer in the hospital, I made a mistake. And it wasn't anything massive, but it was a mistake. And I couldn't get a hold of my chief at the time, so I called my director. And my director at the time was Rick Barker, was one of my early mentors, and he and I are still in contact. Love you, Rick, if you're watching this. But I called Rick and I said, hey, I made a mistake. And he said, was it in a safe condition? Yes. And he said, did you inform the impacted parties? I said, yes. He said, did you follow a procedure? I said, yes, but there were some unofficial steps not in the procedure that I missed. They're not part of my routine yet. I hadn't learned that muscle memory. And he said, thank you for letting me know. Thank you for finding the opportunity. Can you please update the procedure and make sure that the rest of the team knows that the procedure has been updated and this is what we're going to do going forward? And as a junior engineer, that was so impactful for me. I called my director at a time when I had screwed up, and there wasn't any, finger pointing there. He didn't berate me. He didn't come after me. He said, is it safe? Do people know about it? Have you done your job in communicating? Did you follow the process existing? And then he thanked me for making a mistake and finding opportunity to fix a process. And so that kind of support, right? I'd had some of it in the military, but hearing that kind of support early in my career as a stationary engineer was invaluable and really set the tone for this is how we should be treating our employees, the people that work with us, work for us, kind of thing. We need to make sure that they have that level of support, that they can pick up the phone and call. And an example that I use is I was the chief engineer at the time, and early in my tenure as a chief engineer, one of my engineers called me up and said, I made a mistake. And I said, okay, is it safe now? Yes, it's safe now. It's all isolated. Did you inform the people that were impacted? Yes, the charge nurse is aware. Everybody's aware. Okay. Did you follow procedure? Our procedure wasn't great, but I followed what's there. Okay, let's create a procedure. On the swing shift, he started to write up a procedure. And I came in early the next morning, finished up that procedure, trained the team on it at morning huddle. And by the time the safety folks reached out and said, hey, we heard something came up last night. I said, yes, it did. Here's what happened. Here's how our response is. Here's the fix. Here's the training. And my team saw that and said, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to report out, hey, this is going on. It's okay. We're going to fix things. And the procedures that we see as written in stone, hey, this has been the procedure that's always been followed. This is what we do. That stuff should be looked at with curiosity. Is this the right procedure? Is this what we should be doing? Is there a better way to do it? And not having an ego when it comes to a better way, looking at it and saying, hey, this is a better way of doing something. Let's try to make it a standard, and let's try to make it a standard that's adoptable by everybody. And that's a lot of what we do today. I tell people, we have every best practice you could possibly need in one of our 25 hospitals, right? We need to go find it. We need to go discover it. We need to go pull it out of somebody because somebody's doing it or somebody's thinking about it. And so when we take on initiatives, when we are looking to standardize, we don't do it in a silo. We do it with collaboration. We don't do it by title. We do it by expertise or areas of focus. And we look for diversity of opinion, diversity of thought and approach, all that kind of stuff. That's where we get the best practices from. And so encouraging people to speak up when it's not always easy to, whether it's a mistake that's made or just a room full of directors and they're an engineer or something like that. We want people to speak up and voice their opinion. And we have to do that by opening that door, holding it open and inviting them in, saying, come on, bring it. Bring your ideas. We want to execute on it. I would say that's a lot of how we try to ensure that people go home feeling supported and feeling enabled and empowered. We want to hear, what are the training opportunities? How can you get better at your job? Some people are going to want to be the senior director at Sutter Health at some point in their careers. Some people are not. And we want to make sure that we have training and growth opportunities for both. For me, if I was still slinging a wrench, I would need some electrical training. I'm not a great electrician kind of thing. There's folks like that out there. Let's get them that electrical training. Let's get the HVAC training in place. Let's enhance these people. For those who want to get into leadership, let's create those pathways. Let's find out how do we get from step A to step B kind of thing, and really trying to bring that to people. People have ownership in their own career and growth and development, but it's ownership with a map. And that's what we're trying to implement.
Very nice. Very nice. I will say facilities management in healthcare is complex and high stakes. What are some of the unique challenges, Justin, that you faced in this role as Senior Director of Facilities, and how have they influenced you and your approach as a leader?
That's another good question. Some of the unique challenges in healthcare, and one of them in particular, right, is life safety is our bread and butter. Fire alarm systems, emergency power systems, those kind of things. Our customers, our patients are defended in place in hospitals. You can't just evacuate, though. We've seen some hospital evacuations, and we've executed a couple of them at Sutter Health here due to fires or for other things, and fortunately we're able to execute that successfully, but that doesn't happen very often. Usually we're defended in place, and making sure that those systems are really there and where they need to be in order to protect this patient population. Our HVAC systems are able to enhance the infection control environment and the clinical outcomes. I have seen over the last 17 years of my career more of a focus on how the building and how the facility can impact that patient care outcome. And so that is a unique challenge where it's not just a customer satisfaction, but the building can make people healthier or not. And so that's a huge challenge for us. And one of the things in my role is it's different all over the place. Northern California is massive.
Yes.
It's massive. And to get from one end of my area of coverage to the other corner, it's more than a day's drive. So it's substantial. And understanding that while I like standardization, and my role as a senior director is to find some opportunities to standardize, implement best practices, there's unique requirements at every site that every community deals with and has to face, right? We have a story I like to tell is early in my tenure as a senior director, traveling around site to site, I spent a day in San Francisco with our hospitals, and we were talking about crane operations and the best way to work with the city environment, that urban environment, to lift some motors up onto a roof. I went out to one of my other hospitals in more of a rural location a few weeks later, and there were signs on the door that said, please carry small children in the parking lot. There's mountain lion sightings in the area. And so it's a different focus and a different challenges. There's a lot of the same, but there's also a lot of unique. There's different geographical areas, there's different climates, there's different political areas, there's all those different teams and communities and people that you're working with, all with the same goal of taking care of the community's healthcare needs. And so trying to adjust to make sure that it isn't one size fits all, that we're lifting everybody up. We're not, bringing anybody down and these guys are coming up, but we're lifting everybody up in a way that's going to make sense for their local operation. That's one of the challenges that I run into as a senior director in a relatively large organization spread out across a relatively large state.
Yeah, no, that's really amazing to say that. Now, earlier you talked about someone who may at some point, one of your staff may want to be senior director of facilities. So that made me wonder about career paths within your organization. One of the things that I was reading about is the recent success of Sutter Health's apprenticeship program. It seems to reflect a passion for developing talent. And I was just wondering if you know what inspired this initiative and how do you see it impacting both participants and the organization in the long term?
That's another good question. I got out of the Navy, and this is in 2007, and I had plenty of friends that had gone to college and everything like that, and were really trying to find something in that economic environment during that downturn. It was a challenge, and so I thought, I don't need college. I did the Navy thing. I'm an engineer. I'm going to swing a wrench for the rest of my life. And after about 3 years, I started to go, okay, what if I was to go back to college on the GI Bill? What's over there? And so I decided, you know what? It's a good idea. Like I said, I had the GI Bill. I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity. And I went back to school. And I was amazed at what I didn't know, I guess you could say, right? And as I was learning, the things that I didn't think that I was going to value, I was like, I'm a mechanic. I'm doing mechanical engineering. That's the stuff that I want to learn. That's the stuff I want to do. But it was the public speaking, the critical thinking and argumentation, the English courses, the literature courses, the philosophy, all those kind of things. That's what I wound up seeing myself using more and more as I got more into management, became a chief engineer. Hey, it's the communication tools. It's the understanding people and trying to adapt and have that emotional intelligence to make sure that they get what they need, each individual. And so I saw that in my own self and said, you know what? I want to help other people develop. I want to help other people grow and find those education resources, knowing that college isn't for everybody, but there are resources out there. And so there's definitely a want that coupled with the fact that our industry, just all the trades, people are aging, right? We have talent going out the door every day and taking institutional knowledge with them, taking 30, 40 years experience with them. And seeing this and knowing we can really only poach from our vendors. I'm kidding. We want to find a path, especially in some of our communities. It's one thing in downtown Sacramento or downtown San Francisco that have robust college programs or through their community college systems or union education programs and things like that are really great. And we do have a lot of really good union programs, union engineers, union apprentices, but we saw a gap on the non-union side, especially in our more rural locations, where it's really hard to drive that 3 hours after a day of work just to get to the union classes and then drive that 3 hours home kind of thing, or to find those resources. And so we set out to say, okay, what would it look like if we were to partner with a couple colleges and try to bring in something like an apprenticeship program? And we were fortunate in that we got connected. And when I say we, I have a regulatory and education program manager, and she is absolutely incredible. And so she and I really looked at it and said, what can we do here? What makes sense? We started talking to folks. So we got connected to somebody who worked with some grants with the Department of Labor Division of Apprenticeship Services. And so we got connected to them, started talking, and they heard about our program that we were trying to start. And there was a push from the state to say, hey, we're seeing a lot of people retiring and leaving the trades. We need organizations to stand up some of their own programs in order to fill this gap. And we didn't know it at the time, but we started a multi-year effort, right? And COVID came in and said, hey, we're going to set you back a little bit. And so that definitely threw a wrench in, but we kept moving, kept pushing forward, aligning with our legal department, our HR department, having great partnerships over there. And then the state folks really came in and did a great job guiding us through their processes. And so at the end of it, we wound up with the first healthcare facilities apprenticeship program in the state of California, and one of the first in the country. And we presented this at the American Society of Healthcare Engineering, and we're basically giving away the book. Like, hey, here's our path, here's how it went. Please adopt it, make it better. Let us know how you made it better, and we're going to keep moving this forward, because this isn't a Sutter Health problem. This is an industry and trades problem that we need to find those pathways to bring that talent in. And yeah, we just graduated our first apprentice. She could not be more excited for her. She was a 10-year environmental services employee with Sutter Health, always wanted to get into engineering, didn't know how, didn't know the path, didn't know how to get in, and took this opportunity. And after 2 years and a whole lot of on-the-job training and a whole lot of classroom education, which we did partner with Owensboro Technical College, they're a community college out of Owensboro, Kentucky, that has a healthcare facilities leadership program. We utilize some of their coursework, again, trying to find online or digital resources for the education piece, because we serve a lot of rural communities and have hospitals in rural communities. It's all online, and after a whole lot of on-the-job training and a whole lot of classroom education, she is officially a stationary engineer with Sutter Health, and received a certificate from the college, certificate from the state, and some certifications on top of that, EPA Universal and those kind of things. So we are very happy about our apprenticeship program and look forward to its continued growth, and hopefully some more of our industry peers adopting that and making it better.
Wow, bravo, bravo. Nothing like education to keep the world spinning. So one of the things that I noticed about your profile when doing a little research about you, I noticed that you had an expertise in data analytics and energy management. And I was trying to find out if there were some recent advancements or technologies that have excited you the most in terms of their potential impact on healthcare facilities.
Yeah, no, I don't know how recent they are. I wouldn't necessarily call them cutting edge because they've been around for a minute, but some of the things that we're really looking heavily at and adopting a lot more is fault detection and diagnostic software. I came from a building, the old Santa Rosa Hospital was pneumatics. We moved to the new facility, so we had to learn that as mechanical operators, have to learn these computer systems and all of what that means. But it was still, okay, it's an alarm, let's go figure out what's going on there exactly, let's troubleshoot, get into it. With fault detection and diagnostic software, it points us right to where the issue is. Hey, this heating valve and this cooling valve is open at the same time. Not only is the system not working right, but you're also losing money through this. So let's fix that, let's get the savings, and let's get the operational efficiency where we need it to be. I'm very excited about, from the technology standpoint, fault detection and diagnostic software, and we're rolling a lot of that out in addition to some retro commissioning and energy efficiency projects. We're tying it into that to make sure that we don't have the drift when we do a savings initiative or energy push. Also excited about load demand response programs. What that's going to be able to do is, when the state, we want to be good stewards of energy. We want to be good partners to the community and to our state utility providers. And so when the utility provider reaches out and says, hey, we're seeing high grid strain today, or we could be experiencing that, can you go to a different load plan and try to reduce your load? we want to be able to respond. We want to be able to participate, and we want to be able to answer that call. And so more load demand response programming is coming where as opposed to just flipping off switches, turning off all the light switches kind of thing. When that call comes in, we're going to be intelligible. We're going to make smart decisions and figure out how to reduce load while maintaining and keeping operations as impactive and effective as possible.
Nice. That actually segues into my next question for you, which is around sustainability. So, environmental stewardship in healthcare is essential, obviously. How does your team balance sustainability with the operational needs of such a large healthcare network?
Another good question. They have to work together. Sometimes the sustainability push is, hey, this is what needs to happen, but that can get us into some predicaments where we can't operate the buildings the way we need to, or at least the way we know how to, kind of thing. And so we need to be smart and decisive when it comes to where do we implement that sustainability? Where do we utilize that? Ideally, all of our buildings are going to be running as efficiently as possible, but it's going to take some time to get there. We have a combination of new buildings. We have a combination of old buildings. We can do operational changes in some of the new buildings because the infrastructure and the data systems and everything is there. Wayne, my energy manager, calls it keyboards, not wrenches, but it's making those changes before we try to really do things that are going to upset the apple cart. But then when we do make changes, we're making changes not in a silo. It's not the energy team and Justin talking about it. It's the energy team and Justin and the local facility manager and the local administrator and the local clinical team and the local infection preventionist. So we can, really be intelligent about what we're trying to do. We call it energy master planning. So it's master planning with that, okay, what do we want the building to do in 5 years, in 10 years? Are the energy systems and infrastructure systems going to be able to maintain that and be able to do that and meet that challenge, or are they not? If they're not, then we should look to enhance them, and we should try to do it in a way that's going to help out our deferred maintenance by replacing outdated equipment, help us reduce our energy utilization and our utility bills, because that will incentivize more of this activity and more sustainability opportunities by earning some payback kind of thing. And so working with a couple of good partners in the energy and sustainability space to help us identify here's where the options are and here's what makes sense as far as this pathway. And we've been doing retro commissioning and energy efficiency activities for some time now. But this kind of newer approach into, like I said, we call it energy master planning, is where we're trying to go, because we've seen over time sustainability and operations knocking heads. But one of the nice things at Sutter Health is that I am the senior director of facilities over the acute care hospitals. I oversee the facilities team and I oversee the energy management team, and both understand how each other can benefit from what one another's doing. So we try to leverage that.
Great. The healthcare field, obviously, almost by definition, can be intense, especially during crises. What strategies have you found effective for maintaining resilience, both personally and as a team leader?
Personally, as far as maintaining resilience, having good people around you. That's, having a strong team, right? Whether it's my amazing wife and daughter who are extremely supportive of me and understand that, hey, sometimes I'm going to have to step out to take a phone call, or hey, sometimes I'm not going to be able to do that thing because I have to go to a hospital or whatever, and having that understanding group. Also having an amazing team backing me where we fill in for each other, we support each other. If I'm not available, they're able to step in. If I need a break, again, they're able to step in, and I would do the same for them. And it's having that collaboration, that team effort. We don't necessarily operate hierarchical in our facilities management group. It's more kind of everybody's on board and we're going to help out where we can. And some of us have strengths that others don't, but we're all able to pitch in. And that kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier with culture and that military mindset. It's next man up. It's, hey, I can't do this right now. I need you to step in for me, and having that supportive team culture where, yeah, I got you. And so I can tell you that having personally lived through the Santa Rosa fires in 2017, trying to figure out where my own head was at. My family's getting evacuated to my house, see the fire on the ridge, and at the same time, trying to get out and make sure that our hospital team, which I cannot say enough about the amazing work that Jeff Miller and the team at Sutter Santa Rosa did during those 2017 fires, but trying to make sure they're supported, trying to make sure the medical office buildings in the area have what they need. Just really trying to be a part and continue on my role while everything's going on, I had to lean on my team. I had to say, hey, I need you guys to take this on. Hey, I know you started yesterday, but I need you in a leadership team meeting over here. That did happen.
Wow. Look at that.
And
Baptism by
so
fire.
yeah, that's literally, so really when we're trying to build that resiliency, it's having that team kind of thing. There's things that we're definitely doing with our buildings as far as looking at microgrid technologies, fuel cells we have. Where can we enhance our resilience and our business continuity plans and all those kind of things. But personally and from a leadership perspective, have a team that you trust, both in your personal life and in your professional life. And if you have that team you trust, you'll be able to weather the storms a heck of a lot better.
Sounds like sage advice to me. And speaking of advice, for those looking to enter healthcare facilities management or grow within it, what advice could you share with them to give the developing mindset and skills needed for this career?
I would tell people that they could be an engineer or mechanic anywhere, right? We're in healthcare and we have a unique regulatory environment that makes it tough. We have challenging situations all over the place. It is a unique and difficult environment. And sometimes you'll go home and go, oh my God, that was a day. But there's a purpose behind it, right? Like I said, we could do this anywhere. You could go be an engineer at a hotel. You could go be an engineer anywhere you wanted to. But people who choose healthcare often choose it because they want to be part of something. They want to be part of that team that's helping their community get healthy. We are in facilities management and healthcare, part of the patient care team. We're in direct patient care. We're in the background, but we're part of the patient care team. It would not happen without us. That environment of care is extremely important to infection control and patient outcomes. The only drug produced in most hospitals is produced by the facilities team. And when I say drug, I use that term loosely. It's the medical air that we produce, right? And so we're responsible for the medical air systems, and it is one of the few pharmaceuticals that's produced on site. And so that's some of the unique responsibility that we have, is that that's not to diminish any other industries, but just if you're considering healthcare, consider that could be a very difficult, challenging role at times, but it can be extremely rewarding, like I think few others can.
Wow, that is a great thing. And I'm sure that your team really appreciates all that you do for them. Just in this short time, I've gained a great deal of information about you and the type of person that you apparently are as a senior director of facilities for Sutter Health. Another important question. Northern California guy, huh? 49ers or Raiders?
Warriors.
Warrior. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. It's really funny. My name is Steven, but of course it's spelled with a PH. So young people call me Stefan because there's some guy named Curry that
Hey,
I haven't figured out yet. But no, this has been amazing. Justin, I just want to thank you for allowing me to have the opportunity to have this great conversation with you about facilities management, your journey, letting people know exactly what a great field, what a great organization, and what a great responsibility you have to that organization. Thank you for joining me, Justin Pollard, the Senior Director of Facilities at Sutter Health, here on Digital Dialogues. I'm Steve Marion. Have a great day.